Record. Okay, so let's start. Welcome, students. Let's talk about the service request and service catalog. Now, this is actually lecture 7 and 6. We'll do later, but we'll do them both before we do the next quiz that we're going to have. So you'll be all right. You'll be covered. So we're going to talk about service request. What is a service request? How do we go about doing service requests? There's a little bit different than an incident. So service request as opposed to incident, because they're different things. So what is a service request? These are things where people are going to the service desk, which we're not going to say is a help desk, because help desk, we're just really working with incidents mostly. But they're going to a service desk and they're asking for some service. It's going to be something new that they haven't had before, like an installation of hardware or software or some configuration, something like that. So it's going to be a request made to the IT team to fulfill some need that the user has, but it's not the same as an incident, right? So there is a difference between a service request and an incident. An incident, remember, is something is broken. Something's not working the way it's supposed to be. Where a service request, what we've got is we just want to have something additional from what we had before. So the service desk is going to sort of fulfill that. The request is going to come in. The service desk is going to have to decide who's going to fulfill that, and then they're going to go ahead and fulfill that. And there'll be a ticket assigned to it usually. And yeah, so there we go. So what do we want to do with the service request? That's what this slide is about. We need to make sure that our users understand what services are available to them. Got a bunch of slides at the end of this lecture where we talk about the catalog. So the catalog helps them with that. Create a useful process. What that means is that we have a way of doing things every time we have a service request come in. We have a way of doing it. So that just makes it more repeatable. And so that improves the quality of it. As it says there, there's different types of service requests. So that's basically represented in this slide here, where we talk about the workflow. The workflow of service request. We see the steps in what's going to happen when a service request comes in. User submits a service request, technicians assesses the request and see if there's any approval that's required. Then somebody actually fulfills the request, and then there must be some ticket closed on the request. Actually, when the user submits the service request, that ticket would be open, the same as you would for an incident, but it's a different kind of ticket. This is represented now the same. This is the same as what we were looking at in the previous slide, but it is in a flow chart, so that hopefully that's easy to sort of understand. The service request comes in, we log that. That means we're going to create a ticket for it. Is there approval required? If there is, well, we need to go and get that approval. If the approval doesn't happen, we're just going to close the request. Once we've got the approval, we assign that ticket, that service ticket to somebody. Do we need any more information? If we do, then we get that information. If we can't get the information, we might have to sort of hold that ticket and that service request at that point. Otherwise, we go ahead and we do the processing. So the channels that it refers to is, supposing you're a user in the system and you want to have some service request, you want a new monitor for your computer, new software update, whatever. How are you going to request that? And so that's what this means. Well, you could email the service desk, you could phone them, or often you might have a self-service portal available where you can just go online and choose from a bunch of options and then get the service provided to you that way. So about approvals, sometimes approvals will be automatic. So if it's something kind of trivial that we pre-approved, like everybody gets a new monitor or something like that if they ask for it, or other approvals, you know, that may be more costly or may have some more impact on other parts of the organization, then we might have to get, that might be held up a bit while we go and check if we can afford that and if it fits within the budget requirements, etc. All right, so these there's a few slides that we're going to have. We have an actual slide about shift left. I'll discuss that later, as it says. But if we wanted to sort of improve what we're doing in the service desk, these are some things that we could look at. These are some suggestions that we can do to make sure that our service desk is working in the best way possible. Shift left, which I'll talk about in the slide coming up. Standardization and automation, so things are going to happen in the same way every time and also happen more efficiently. Manage expectations so that our users are not disappointed by the service. They know what to expect, and then they get what they expect. Scaling up, that means if we go from a few users to many users, will our service desk be able to handle that? Can we put priority on different customers and the support that we have there? So when we've had a service request come in and we've fulfilled the service request, then we actually have to make sure that that's recorded, that it's recorded that we've fulfilled that service request, and that would mean the closing of a ticket. That ticket, in that ticket, we've recorded everything that we've done there. Right, so the first thing on the list there that we saw in the previous slide there was about shifting left as a way of improving what we're doing in the service desk. And so this diagram here shows shifting left pretty well, I think. The idea being that we try to get the actual service that we're providing, the way that we're providing it, we try to get that as close as we can to the customer and to the first level 1 support, the people who are going to talk to the customer first. So if we can train those people up so that they can manage a lot of these services, then what's going to happen is we're not going to be passing the service request off between people. So, you know, it's basically just stays with one person. That's what we mean by shifting left. We're getting that as close as we can to the actual customer. And that's mentioned in these notes here, getting it as close as we can to the customer and making it as simple as possible. I hope standardization is an obvious benefit, and so something that we would want to achieve in our service desk. Standardization, that's basically just a general rule of business, isn't it? And certainly how we apply IT. So the idea being that we can do things the same way every time, and as we're doing things the same way, we can measure how that is, and we can improve it as we go. So there we could automate our ticket assigning. What that means is that we've got different categories in the ticket. I think you saw that when you're going through your lab. Was it one of the labs that you did recently? Creating the tickets, you could create different categories, and then you could have subcategories. Well, you could have, I suppose, in your tickets software, something that when they put in a particular type of ticket, that goes automatically to particular people, depending on its category or subcategory. And we've talked about that too. Standardization, I just mentioned, that is, we do the same kind of things the same kind of way, and that is also an improvement in quality. What do our customers expect? Disappointed customers are often, it's just because of the expectations weren't managed properly, right? If the customer doesn't know what to expect, then they're likely to be unhappy with what they get, or more likely to be unhappy with what they get. So if we have a way of sort of communicating with them what is actually possible, then they're more likely to be sort of better about what they actually get. Centralized service request, that would be with our service software, our service desk software. Yeah, that's a single point, which everybody is going to go and use at some point to get their service done. Right, so we're going to have a bunch of best practices that we're just going to go through now. It's kind of like a list. So let's look at some of those. 8 tips, as it says. If we do these 8 things, supposedly, then our services will be better. Take the simplest activities that we do and make sure that we sort of put them into some even maybe automated way. So we define those carefully and have those up front as something that people can use easily and simply. Everything that we want to do, we want to document it as it says. We're going to use our SLAs. I don't know if we've used that term in this course. I think so, service level agreements. That is actually a very good way of sort of documenting things. Service level agreements are specified in ITIL, so that we can better manage what we're doing. If we can capture as much of the data as we can with the initial contact with the customer and keep that data in the ticket, that means that we can that the ticket can be used by more than one service agent. I think you got that idea, but so that we don't have to keep asking the customer information about what the service is. So with our initial contact with the customer, we get as much of that information as we can. We make sure it's recorded, and so that we don't have to keep going back and asking. And as it says there, we standardize the approval process. If we know that, for example, this example, if we know that everybody is entitled to have a new monitor when they ask, well, we just pre-approve that. And so we don't have to go on it. It's already in the system. As soon as they choose new monitor, that approval is automatic because we pre-approved it. It's one example. This is just good quality sort of process. Is what we do is we look at what we're doing as we're doing it, and we review it and see if there's things that we could do better. That's a quality process, right? And the knowledge base, I don't know if I've spoken to you about knowledge base before, but the knowledge base is where we're going to record. We record incidents there, the solutions to incidents, but we would also record processes that we use to fulfill a particular service. Service level agreement, mentioned it just in a previous slide. Service level agreement is kind of like a contract between the service desk and its customers. So you would have come in contact with this if you had ever entered into an agreement with Irido to have some kind of a telecommunication service. So you do that when you get your phone service on. You will have a service level agreement that will come with that. Now, what do I mean by service level? The level thing is actually quite an important part of the service level agreement. What it means is, you know, when you go to Irido, you can get a package which has certain features, right, at a certain price. And you can get another package which has more features at a higher price. And you can get another package which has less features at a lesser price. Each one of those is controlled by a service level agreement, which you will sign when you buy that package. So, you know, you pay 500 real a month for this package. You pay 800 real a month for that package, 400 real a month for that package. And it's the same with our service desk. So, for example, in one package, we might say, okay, well, all of your service requests are going to be fulfilled within a day. And that's going to cost you this much a month. Or we might say all of your service requests are going to be fulfilled within a week. And then this is going to be this amount. So that's going to be specified in this thing that we call a service level agreement. I think you understand the level part of the service level agreement now, right? And that will be different depending on the service that you get. How are we going to measure that? So we've got our service level agreement. Are we actually doing that? We signed a service level agreement with the customer saying every time they do a service request, we'll fulfill that within a day. We measure that. We measure the time. How long did it take us to fulfill this? And we also measure, as it says here, the customer satisfaction. So we will go from time to time to the customers and say, okay, so what do you think of those services? Are we meeting that service according to you? Faisal.
So service level agreement, is it included inside the policy?
I don't know what you mean by policy, but I guess like a contract. Is that what you mean?
Remember you taught us chapter 2, I think, about policy.
All policies and procedures and things like that. Yes, I would put it the other way around. The policy would be specified in the service level agreement. So our service level agreement, how do we make sure that our service level agreement is fulfilled? Well, we have certain policies in our service desk to meet those things. But the service level agreement, that's going to be how we communicate what is going to happen between us and the customer. It's an agreement. It's like a contract. And the policies, I don't know if the customer may, some of those policies may be specified in the service level agreement, so that they, I guess that way they could check to see if we're following our policies. But they're more likely to be internal, if you know what I mean. What I mean by that is the policies, we know about the policy. We have the policy, and that's how we meet our service level agreement, but we might not include it in the
policy. It's like something you can know
Oh.
about before purchase.
Yeah, no, policy would be our way of doing things. So we have a policy, and from that, we have our processes that come from our policy. Remember that it was top down. And so that's really just sort of a management issue. So it doesn't need to be in the service level agreement. It might be, but it doesn't need to be. Did I answer your question? Cheers. All right, so it talks about a life cycle here of the service level request, sorry, the service request. And we can, as I was saying, that we can ask the customers their satisfaction. Are they happy with that and how that works? I don't know if you've heard this term before. So we're using all kinds of management terms here, right? KPI, key performance indicator. Key performance indicator, we say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to measure it. And because it's a key performance indicator on a regular basis, so that could be more likely sort of annually, but maybe semi-annually. What we'll do is we'll check to see if we are making these, if we're hitting these targets. So key performance indicators are going to be targets that we have to hit in order to be considered successful. And so individuals will have key performance indicators, and managers and groups will have key performance indicators, and that would include the service desk. So some of the things that we'd measure is, well, here they are. Percentage of requests closed within the SLA. So the SLA specifies that a request will be closed within a day. All right, and then we had 5% of our requests were not closed within a day. So that would have to be in a report. It's not meeting the service level. It may or may not be meeting the service level agreement. How long does it take us to restore service? Percentage of rejected requests. We get the idea. I don't know if I have to say all of those things. Pending requests, that would be like the pending request is like a backlog. People have made requests and we haven't done anything with them yet. They're waiting in the hopper, as it were. Total number of requests, percentage of reopen. Oh, reopened requests is a bad thing, right? So some of these things are good, some of these things are bad. Reopened requests means that they made a request, we fulfilled the request, we closed the ticket, then they called back again and said, oh, that's not good. So that's a very bad thing. We would want that to be a very, very low number. First call resolution rate, that would be good. That means first time they called in, we resolved it, they didn't call back. That means that we're doing things in an efficient way. So we want this to be big and we want that to be small. Now the catalog, the idea here about the service request catalog is we have like something that's published, which we can share with our users, which says, these are the things that are available to you. If you come to our service desk, we can give you these things. And so this is an example here at the university. If you, the IT department here has a service desk application, which everybody in the certainly in the teaching and other staff can go to this application, and you can see they can choose from this menu here, which is a graphical menu, services that they can see. Now you can see these are services. This is not incident management. You know, it's like I need some audio visual. I need to have a new employee. Have, you know, this would be, we're going to give them new a new desk, new computer, new email, all that kind of stuff. So all of these are service requests where people, depending on their authorities and permissions, they could go in there and make requests to the service desk. Initially, they didn't even have to talk to anybody. They just go there and just basically click on that and choose those things. There's a video there. I don't think I'm going to go through the video because my sort of policy on that, if you want to call it a policy, we were talking about policies a minute ago, is you can watch the video in your own time. I do encourage you to watch that video. What that video is about, it's about, okay, look, this is an online sort of portal thing that you can go there, and here's all the things that you can do online without even talking to anybody. You can get all of these services. So it's a nice one to look at, but I'm not going to include it in my lecture. You can look at that in your time. So please go do and do that. So that's what this is. The video that I'm not showing you is about a self-service portal. So your self-service portal is you just go to this website or this application, and you can choose one of those things, and you can get service started for yourself without even talking to somebody. And as it says there, if it's repetitive jobs, that's going to be good. Let's put it onto the self-service portal so that our IT people in the service desk don't have to be spending their time doing repeated simple things with customers. So, you know, maybe the customer is going to be happy with that. The other thing is it's available 24/7. You know, people can just go onto the application, and they can just put in their request without even talking to anybody in the middle of the night. So that makes it nice. It's going to be cheaper because labor is one of the most expensive things that we have in an organization. And that labor can be used, those IT professionals, which are expensive to train, expensive to hire. They can be using their expensive time doing things that are more difficult. And also the consumer gets to know a little bit more about those services and feel a bit more comfortable with your IT services. How are we going? It's all right? You guys are kind of quiet today. That's kind of cool. I wish it was like this during the exam. Just kidding. All right, so, well, that made you smile. That's good. If you're going to have an online service system, you know, an application, what this is saying is that you're going to have two different views depending on how you log in. If you log in as a technician, you're going to see this stuff, right? You're going to see how do you get your approvals to do the workflow. Maybe there's some technical manuals that you can click on and use there to help you. Basically, it's just going to be view for the IT team is going to be different for the customer. For the customer, they're going to see all of the things that's available to them. And yeah, it's going to look like a restaurant menu. You know, I click here and get this, I click there and get that. So the catalog needs to be simple so that your customers, they look at it and they can understand what's going on in there. And so that's what this is about. We just keep it in simple language, but we will keep all of the things that they might need to reference, but in an easy to get at way. So like back in that diagram and in the video that you're going to watch in your own time, right? Each different service, we have these things that we're going to record about it, and that's going to be available to the users. So a portal is going to provide them this access to your service desk. And here's some things that it should have. They should be able to search and find the things that they want. Should be a knowledge base in there. Knowledge base is how do we solve different issues and what are our different services? Well, what are our different services is also included in the catalog. The user should be able to initiate or to start an incident report from the portal. So an incident report, remember, is different than a service request. So they should be able to do a service request and an incident report from the portal. They should have a dashboard where they can see all of their incident requests all of their incidents that are theirs and all of their service requests. They should be able to just look at there and see all of those there, so they can go back and review how that's happened. As it says here, your IT portal, people should be able to access it on a mobile phone, should be able to access it on a computer. And so if they can do that, then yeah, that's just a sort of a web development sort of issue, I suppose. So when you're looking at your portal, that you're going to use for your service desk, bear in mind that things may have to change. As it says there, people are a bit resistant to change. You're going to find people in the IT service desk that are resistant to change. You're going to find your customers resistant to change. So how do we sort of make them accept that, or encourage them to accept that change? Customers, they're comfortable with the way it used to be. So how do we get them to be comfortable with the new way if we implement a new system, a new portal? Is our new portal, is it, as it says here, is it compatible with their culture? I suppose if you have a portal that was designed in the United States only, there's some things there that don't exist in other countries in the world. So, you know, maybe it needs to be tweaked a little bit for that particular thing. As I said there, people are don't want to change. They like to do things the way they've always done it. And if you want to give high quality service, usually things have to improve and change a little bit. And so that might take a bit of time. This is a transition, as it's referring to. Yeah, it might take a bit of time to do that. Maybe the customer doesn't want to change the way they were doing things. They like to walk into the service desk and just ask for things. And so I guess we have to highlight the benefits to them of the service portal. Right, we're almost done. God, this is the fastest lesson in history. Right. Your service desk is going to change. That's what that slide's about. You can't just leave it because it will get out of date. And so you have to keep monitoring it. Look at your customers. Are they happy with it? What needs to change? When does it need to change? The other thing is you build a new service desk and you just put it online. Are people going to just start automatically using it? No. You're going to have to entice them into using it. Okay, so what is it that they can benefit, that they can have from the service desk? You know, it's going to save them time. It's going to save them sort of effort. It's going to add more quality. And somehow we have to get that to them. So we were talking about KPIs before, key performance indicators. We talked about key performance indicators for the service desk itself. Now, key performance indicators for our portal, what it is that our customers are going to interact with online. And so we can see this, right? How many people are actually using it? You know, we have some people that are phoning up. We have some people that are sending us emails. We have some people that are walking into our service desk, as opposed to how many people are going to the website and using that. As if that percentage is very low, that's, you know, we're not meeting. We're probably going to have a percentage there where we say, well, we want at least 50% of our people to come to the portal, or maybe we want 80% or 90%, because when they go to the portal, that's more efficient, right? Because a ticket is going to be generated as soon as they do their request. The other thing we do is we're just going to ask them. Every time you deal with customers, one of the things that you do at the end of it is you ask them, was that good? You know what I mean? What can we do better? And generally, they'll be honest about that. I've finished that. I went through that kind of fast. I didn't ask you any questions, so I'm going to ask you questions now. I'm going to ask you if you have questions of me. Is that okay?